All right, welcome back to another episode of Hockey Jersey Addicts. And today I have the pleasure of being joined by one of our fellow favorites all around the Jersey world, Sask Stars fan, aka Lane. Lane, thanks so much for being on the podcast this evening with me. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me. A
Oh,
little
absolutely.
chilly. We got snow again today, so we're cold.
Yeah, I can imagine Saskatchewan will be settling in for a longer winter now.
Well, yeah, this is definitely a year that we've gotten a lot. We got a ton of snow up front, and now we have it until May or maybe June. So yeah, looking forward to that.
So does that mean that like you are starting to plan out all the Jersey projects you might be doing with all the new or even anticipated indoor time on the horizon?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I'm having a ton of indoor time right now, so I'm just kind of picking away at projects as they come right now. So I have a huge order of kits coming that will keep me busy for months. So I'm excited.
Oh geez. See, this is interesting because you're kind of showing your cards about how addicted you are because you're at the stage where you are using kits. You're pretty into it, eh?
It's a little of both. Yeah, I am currently at 149 for my jerseys, and I've been selling a lot here recently. And there is a couple still coming in the mail, but it's so basically it's in between me doing eBay or sewing or basically just that. That's I
Jeez.
am firmly addicted. But whenever anyone says I'm addicted, I said no, I don't have an addiction. I have a fascination.
That's a good way of putting it. What are you working on right now?
So today I just finished. A buddy of mine dropped off a Penguins jersey. It was one of those Heroes of Hockey Adidas jerseys that they released here a couple years back, and they it was a Lemieux jersey, and he asked me to put on the '92 Cup and the Penguins 25th anniversary patch and the Badger patch on the other shoulder. So I did
Oh,
that
wow.
today, and now my next project is a Stanley Cup winning Stars replica for 99 for Modano.
Oh, wow. That
So
sounds awesome. That'll be an amazing jersey when it's done, but also the one you're doing sounds pretty sweet too.
yeah, no, I am a I don't know how friendly this can say it, but no, it's a I'm consider I'm a patch slut. Let's say that because I love patches. I will decide what jerseys to buy based on if I can put a patch on it or not.
Well, I can empathize with that a little bit right now because I seem to be fixated on narrowing in on a type of 31 collection. I started
Hmm.
at, I'm going to get one for every team and it's going to be my favorite of that team over an era, which for me is just happens to be around the 90s. And so most of them are just the jerseys from the 90s, but a lot of them are like the thirds and the alts.
Hmm.
But I am so into the 75th anniversary season. So now I'm like, oh, was that something you could put the 75 patch on? Okay, I kind of want that now because now I want my 31 with all the 75 patches. But I mean, it's not 31, it's a different amount of teams, but still, like I was like pretty pumped about that idea. So I can I get that, but what's cool about the patch thing too, and maybe this is why you like it as well, but curious on your thoughts, is it kind of adds more conversation and history to that jersey.
Oh yeah, 100%. I have a lot. It's funny. I only have two 99 Cup jerseys, authentic 99 Cup jerseys for the Stars, and I have three 2000 authentic Stars jerseys. And because they went to the Stanley Cup final and also in 2000, but they lost to New Jersey. And a lot of people ask when I wear it, they say, "Oh, did the Stars win the cup in 2000?" I'm like, "No, they went to the final. They did a fantastic season, but they just lost in Game 6." So it is a conversation starter. Also, when you're looking at jerseys, the one thing when you look down, you can see the crest and stuff, but if you put a patch on a jersey, you get to look down and see a patch on the front of your jersey, right? So not like you can see the name on the back of your jersey. So it's more of a
Right.
like instant gratification looking down at the thing you're wearing and saying, "Oh, yeah, I forgot there's a patch on that." And that's another reason why I like picking players that have A's or C's on them, because it's another thing I can put on the front of the jersey.
Yeah, and then, sometimes as well, if I find that it's an anniversary season for some reason, like if they didn't really change their jerseys for a few years, but then it coincided with when they had an anniversary. And back then, really, all they would sometimes do is add a patch to the jersey. They wouldn't make like this special 25th anniversary edition jersey, like what will probably happen today with the Avalanche or something. So,
Yeah.
um, that is also how I zero in on knowing like which one I want, because even if I don't have the money or the foresight at the time to add the patch when I'm buying it, I definitely like knowing later, like, oh, sweet, I can. And it's still like not a jersey foul. It's spec
Yeah.
correct and stuff, you know?
For me, like trying to collect the or Stars jerseys from 2013 to 2017, the Reebok era, and with their new logo and everything, they only ever wore two patches for those jerseys, and one was the Modano retirement night back in 2014, and they wore their green jerseys for that. So I can only put that patch on that jersey, and then 2017 when they wore the NHL 100 patch on the arm, but
That's it.
that that was it for the Reebok era, yeah, and then then the next season when Adidas came out, they had the 25th anniversary, and I was so excited because it's like, "Great, it's gonna be a cool jersey." There might have a throwback jersey or something, but then I remembered it was Adidas's first year of making jerseys, and they don't like making anything but the home and the away, unless you were in the Winter Classic or Toronto for some reason, because Toronto got a St. Pat's and Toronto Arena's jersey for that year. I really don't
That's not
understand
fair.
why, but yeah. And then the next year, the Ducks celebrated their 25th anniversary, and they got a nice jersey out of it. So felt like the 25th could have been better, but they got a really cool patch out of it.
We've talked so closely now to a little bit of why your name is Sask Stars fan. You know, we know you're in Saskatchewan. You've clearly been talking about the Stars, and you've also brought up Mike Modano a little bit in there too. So there's a lot I want to talk to you about how you got to the stage where you're spending your casual day sewing patches on a jersey for your buddy. So take us back to where you grew up and how you're a Dallas fan, but living in Saskatchewan.
So I grew up in Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, and Saskatoon, but I got my hockey start in Prince Albert. And back in the 80s, this kid from Michigan got asked by the coach to come up to PA, Saskatchewan, to try or to come play for the PA Raiders. And he left the team. He left his home and came up here, and he became a Hall of Famer in the NHL. So it was Mike Modano who came up here. He played his junior years in PA, and he even stayed the summers up here.
Oh, cool.
He didn't go back to Michigan. He stayed here with his friends and the people he made friends with up here, and he made Prince Albert home. And that's something that makes a community love a player, especially when it comes to juniors when they're only there for such a short time. That this player doesn't go home; they stay there because they want to make that town home. And so when he got drafted first overall to the North Stars, PA became such a huge Modano fan. And growing up, you saw a lot of PA, or at the time when I grew up, they had already moved to Dallas, but you saw a lot of Dallas stuff. A lot of people were Dallas fans there. And for the minor teams, like in Prince Albert, we had a couple like zones in the city of what team you can play for
Oh,
minor
okay.
hockey. And there was the Rangers, there was the Sharks, there was the Sabres, there was the Canadians. So there was all these teams, but then there was the Stars, and I was lucky enough to get. I was in the Stars zone, so I ended up
Oh, cool.
wearing a Stars jersey as a little kid learning how to play hockey. And so that was something that was super cool because at our home rink there was a big signed picture of Modano as soon as you walk into the rink.
Nice.
And uh so, and then like the ice had like Stars logos all over it. It felt like you were playing at Reunion Arena kind of. And it was cool. It was a cool atmosphere. And then that kind of sealed me as a Stars fan. But then what made me a lifelong Modano fan, and honestly, what made me cry when he retired, and then when he got inducted into the Hall of Fame, was that a couple of the kids that I played with on my team, they were uh, their dads ended up playing for the Raiders when Modano was there, and they ended up staying and making a home in PA and having kids. So Modano and the Stars were playing in Edmonton one day, and they had a few days off between their next game with the Oilers. So Modano decided to drive all the way to PA and see some of his old teammates. And one of the dads invited him down to watch our hockey game. And so before the game was about to start, we getting dressed, and one of the dads came in and say, "Hey, we have a surprise for you." And there walked in Mike Modano, and it was such a cool experience because he told us to go have fun and go beat these guys. And I was wearing number 9 at the time. I didn't really have any favorite number at the time. I just was given number 9, and Modano said that, hey, that's a good number, so that's why my favorite number is 9. And so we went out there, played the game, we won with Modano in the stands, and that was really
Awesome,
cool.
right?
And then we came back into the room. He came in, handed out signed pictures of him, and yeah, just told us good job. And it was such a cool experience to have him come into place in the middle of nowhere to basically say to us that, like, good luck and stuff. And it was such a cool experience. And I was like 5 or 6 years old at the time. And then I finally got to meet Modano again at the Winter Classic this year, finally. So it's he became my hero and my idol, and been a lifelong Stars fan ever since.
Oh man, what a story. I mean, how could you not be hooked on the game with that kind of atmosphere like you're describing? But Madonna sounds like a really nice guy.
Well, as a kid, I've heard stories since about how he is with fans sometimes, but from my experience, he's always been such a really good guy. So um, my the funniest thing is that story and then that rink. I have to give a lot of credit to that rink and how much that made you a fan of the team because they decked it out just full decked out as those teams. And that's a rarity in
That's cool.
Saskatchewan because when I moved to Saskatoon as a kid, Saskatoon is a bigger city, and they're shared rinks. You don't have a home
Right.
rink. So you don't get to see your team's logo up on the wall when you have a home game. You don't get to see the team's crest in the ice. It's just ads for companies,
Yeah.
basically. So you lost that kind of feeling of being a part of an organization. So, but I was actually ended up being a Red Wing, and I wore number 9, and that's of course a big thing here in Saskatoon because being a Red Wing harkens back to Gordie Howe, who's from Saskatoon, and he a lot of Gordie Howe fans, not a lot of Red Wing fans, but a lot of Gordie Howe fans.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, that number 9 has been tied to some great players, and I think my favorite player, Wayne Gretzky, he wore 99 because Gordie Howe was his favorite player, and
Yeah.
he wanted to not take his number, but wanted his own thing, and it's kind of a neat situation there. I mean, I'm reminded of where I played a lot of my youth hockey now and how cool it was to go into that rink and have banners up in the rafters with your name on it for what really unfortunate, like, it just amounts to like a regional championship tournament or something, but it's still super meaningful to you as a kid.
Oh
And
yeah.
if you have to share the facilities, you understand that thing can't be up there as easily. So you're right. I really miss that community feel now that I'm thinking back about it. Because shout out to Winnetka Warriors in Winnetka, Illinois. That drink was awesome. I really had a good time there.
Oh, the funniest thing is that my mom, when I was a kid, was able to find a necklace with the Stars logo without Dallas over top.
Okay.
So, like the original Minnesota North Star kind of
Uh
logo
huh.
that Dallas ended up using for the first season. She was able to find a necklace like that without Dallas, and she said that it was that Santa made me a special thing that was for the PA Stars or the Prince Albert Stars. So I thought it was the coolest thing that Santa made me this stars necklace. I wore it everywhere. Then I found out that she just found a Minnesota North Star one, but still super cool.
Yeah, of course. I mean, maybe it was your good luck charm or something too. It
Yeah,
was
I never won any championships with Prince Albert. I ended up winning a championship in Saskatoon, but that was it.
And another local legend of the Saskatoon, Saskatchewan area, I should say, is Hayley Wickenheiser,
Oh
my
yeah,
favorite female hockey player of all time.
she is a huge part of the community here. She's studying to be a doctor right now, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Um, After her retirement from professional hockey, but she is growing up. I remember watching her on at the Olympics and women's championships, and just I loved watching women's hockey. Like we had 2 or 3 years ago, we had the four nation cup here,
Oh,
which was
yeah.
the U.S., Canada, um,
Sweden?
Sweden, and I think Russia. I can't remember.
I'm trying to remember the fourth too.
I can't remember the fourth country. I think it was for sure Sweden. Maybe it's Sweden and Finland, but. But yeah, so Canada and the US ended up being in the gold medal, and I went to the gold medal here in Saskatoon, and right up next to the glass. It was awesome. Uh, Definitely hate when people say, "Oh, it's just women's hockey." Women's hockey is
Oh, no,
awesome.
it's awesome, man.
It's awesome, and but I love. But with Hayley Wickenheiser, I have a nice story about her too. So, for your listeners out there, I am a country singer here in Saskatoon. I have couple awards. I have done cross Canada tour. I'm accomplished in that sense, and I'm was doing a show in downtown Saskatoon. I think it was about 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and me and a buddy were. I was just about to get up on stage, and we noticed someone in the crowd that looked awfully familiar, and we couldn't really place it. And then I was like, whatever, I'm just going to go up on stage and sing. So I ended up going up, doing my show, and I came back down and I told my friend, it's like, I know where that person's from. That's Hayley Wickenheiser. So,
Haha.
so I went over there and said hi to her, and she was a super nice girl, or woman, sorry. Um, and yeah, she was awesome, and she really enjoyed the show, and that was even better. And yeah, it was
So
really good.
cool.
That's my Hayley Wickenheiser story. Not as good as the Modano story, but it was still cool because she was one of my heroes one of my hockey heroes as a kid. So
Oh, man, yeah, that's awesome, and it's cool too to be able to hear that side of your life, and, congratulations on all your accomplishments there.
well, thank
Clearly
you.
none better than performing for Haley, though. I mean,
Oh
that's
yeah.
gotta top the list.
Well, it's
It
it's really interesting here in Saskatchewan because we have the highest per capita we produce more NHL hockey players than anywhere in the world per capita. We are a crazy hockey province. And somehow you will know someone who's related to a hockey player. The Shen brothers. I ended up knowing their sister here in Saskatoon. One of my best friends as a kid, his cousin was Patrick Marleau, or is Patrick Marleau, and
mm,
uh, and then Braden McNabb is from my grandma's hometown. So you get all these players. You have Jordan Eberle, who again I used to date a girl who was related to Jordan Eberle, and it's just you get all these, like, everyone is somehow related to NHL players in this province. And then my own family, I've had players who played in the WHL. One of my guys I went to high school with, he just actually retired from professional sports. He was playing for the Hershey Bears here the last couple of seasons, and he ended up retiring from hockey after a bunch of concussions. But yeah, no, that again, we have such a hockey history here in Saskatchewan, and all starts with Gordie Howe.
Mr. Hockey himself. I mean,
Mr. Hockey himself. I will say to this day, he is a better player than Wayne Gretzky, and I will take that to my
he'll die
grave.
on that cross, eh? That's
Well,
fine.
if you count his WHA points, he'd have way more than Gretzky.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see how one can say what makes a player so great, and it's hard to look past some such significant stats like points and goals because it's so instrumental to the game. And I mean, there's a lot of ways to cut it, and I always try to look at it too by era and
Hmm.
influence and significance. And I might not be able to make my argument if Gordie Howe doesn't exist in the first place because I said Gretzky, it was like
Hmm.
his idol was Gordie. So how
Oh
can I
yeah.
deny that it would have such an effect on Saskatchewan, right? And I
When
go ahead.
Yeah, when Gordie Howe passed away in 2016, it was a very sad day for all of us in Saskatchewan. It ended up being a day of kind of mourning. I believe that the city announced the day of mourning when he passed away. He is actually buried in Saskatoon at our look at the rink here, Sastel Center. There's a statue of him out front, and his ashes are buried within the statue itself, and there is a banner of his number 9 hanging in the Sastel Center. Even though he never played for the Saskatoon Blades, he was such an instrumental part of hockey history that we honor that. Like, there's a whole sporting complex, football field, baseball field, hockey rink, all named after him. There's a bridge here in Saskatoon that's named after him. There's so much things that we loved about him. So uh, when he passed away, it was definitely hard on the community. And his last public appearance was in Saskatoon before his passing. It was at a sports dinner night, and yeah, no, he was a hero of many people around the province, especially here in Saskatoon.
Oh man, yeah, no doubt. So R.I.P. to Gordy, and you've had such a legacy on the game. We're really thankful for everything you've done, no doubt. One and well put. I'm glad you were able to describe for us kind of even just on the surface level how much he's doing or has meant to the community there. And one of the more iconic pictures I think of is always the one where he's got Gretzky like in the headlock with the stick, and he's
Yeah.
really little, and he's. But hey, man, thanks so much for giving us all that breakdown on just Gordie Howe and
No
also
problem.
your love there. And you clearly are a big fan of the game and the history of the game. And I'm curious, with all of your fandom in um, collecting with the stars. One of the things that's kind of puzzled me about Dallas's jerseys that hopefully you can clear up for our listeners is like they're like when I'm looking over CCM authentics or even starter replicas of like the 90s era
Yep.
and 80s, you know, I'm used to seeing CCM with the NHL logo on the back. And on starters, it has like the starter logo with the conference on the back, and that's it. But Dallas is special, and they somehow got their crest also on the back left. And
Yeah.
you don't see that with the other teams. And I'm like, why Dallas? What made you so special?
Honestly, that one, it actually harkens back to Minnesota. So when Minnesota ended up switching their jerseys to the black jerseys that Dallas was known for, they went away from that beautiful N logo to just stars, and they dropped the north out of the logo. And the reason for that was because the team already knew it was trying to relocate, and they didn't know I'm kind of getting off track here from your question, but they uh, they were they didn't know where they were going to go. San Jose was still an option. San Diego was an option. There was Phoenix was an option. So there was a ton of options, and they wanted to have a jersey that they could wear when they moved. So they didn't have to worry about redesigning a whole jersey, redesigning a whole look. They could just do a quick move, rename put the name of the city in front, and that was it. So that's where that jersey came from. But on those jerseys, you're right. There was a little star at the bottom of the hem that no other team had. And when when the Stars moved to Dallas, they kept that all the way to 99 when they won the cup with it. But then the NHL decided to get really strict. And for the 2000 season, they were not allowed to keep that, and they haven't had it on since. So it was something that they just kind of got away with. I don't know how.
It seems like it. Yeah.
Especially because when they put it on, I guess it was past the time when teams were like, there was a whole span there in the 80s, which the NHL cracked down on teams that put the company that customized the jerseys for the team. They would put them on the back of jerseys for, hey, sponsorship. We did the work on this jersey.
Right. Of course.
The NHL cracked down on that. And the funny thing is, if you look at the Bruins, they still had that on, but they just stitched it in the color of the jersey. So no one could see it. But yeah, so they cracked down on that in the late 80s. But then Stars did this in the early 90s and got away with it. I think it was because of that whole initial pass at that, but
right.
I don't know. Maybe
the NHL felt a little awkward, like telling them, we don't really know where you're going yet, and just
exactly. And I think that it's definitely cool to have on Stars jerseys, because it's that little thing that really makes it kind of special. And I really like the late 90s jerseys too, that the CCM, which if you look, a lot of jerseys were done in the team's colors, like with the CCM logo, except the Stars. They decided to go with just this metallic gold, which just shined really well under the lights. And that was the best CCM logo in the league, because
Agreed.
it was the easiest to see from camera.
It just looked really cool, that combo, you know?
Oh, exactly. You had the orange NHL crest, you had the gold CCM, and then you had the gold little star in the other corner.
Oh yeah, that's why I was like, maybe that's why they got away with it, because it just looks so damn nice. And I love how unique that is for the Stars through that. Like, that's just their own little thing. Like you're saying, they somehow just got away with it, and everyone was like totally okay with it as well. And I mean, is that the feeling of the jerseys over the summer that you've seen get released as well? Or is everyone just gonna go with it and is eventually gonna be okay with it? Or how
Oh,
take me through. You've had 2 this year. I mean, you and Vegas have had thirds and a
I'll
reverse
s-
retro. So where do you wanna start?
so I'll say this. Actually, we've gotten 3 this year,
Oh,
kinda, because you had the Winter Classic.
okay,
Um,
yeah.
for a team, so the Stars. I'm gonna walk through the whole Stars history here, because it kind of explains my view
In order for
on
you
how
to
this looks.
completely understand, I need to take you all the way, and
You
it's
have to
like,
take you
yeah,
all the way
alright.
back. So a lot of fans. So in '97, they released the Star design as a third jersey. They joined the NHL program, a third jersey program. They ended up copying the mid '90s NHL All Star jerseys, and which ended up being such a great look for the Stars. Like, it made sense.
Agreed.
The Dallas Stars wearing jerseys in the shape of a star. That
Totally.
made the most sense out of any team out there. So, and it was unique, right? It was something that it was a third jersey in the 90s that actually worked. Can't say that to a lot of third jerseys in the 90s. Um, but they ended up winning the Stanley Cup with it, and then they ended up coming out with the white version, and they wore that until 2007. Then they also brought out the Mooterus, which, to my dying breath, is awesome. And kind of a side tangent on that, my mom, before I knew it was such a bad jersey, like I grew up playing NHL games and the Mooterus was in it. And one of my favorite games was NHL 2005. And the Mooterus was in it. I loved playing it because of the Mooterus.
Yeah.
And my mom got me a Mooterus jersey when I was younger. And she bought it for like $10 and
Oh my
off
god.
eBay. I know, right? And so I've had it for all this time. And then when I started getting into jerseys, I realized that that jersey that my mom got me for $10 is now $200, $150, $200. And it's like, well, yeah, I should have bought a Wild Wing back in the day, or a Storm.
Yeah. If I could
but
go back, sure.
but going on that, but so Dallas tried a new jersey there that a lot of people, it's a cult following. Like my logo for all my social media is the Mooterus. Right now, it's a Mooterus and a Santa hat. But it's it is one of my favorite logos by the Stars because it was so unique. It's and they tried to connect the state of Texas with their franchise, and that's a theme that comes back here in a couple of in a few minutes here. But they made the Taurus constellation, which I thought was great until someone points out that it looks like a uterus, and yeah, then it becomes a whole nother problem. But if you want a good chuckle, watch. There's a Mooterus video, or during the Stars' 25th anniversary, they did a 25 defining moments, and then they actually have 26 videos for it, not 25, because the 26th one is the lost moment, is what it's called, and it's basically explaining how the Mooterus came to be, but it's hilarious. You have Brendan Morrow and Marty Turco just disgusted by the jersey. It's hilarious. They make it fun. It's a parody kind of thing, but it's hilarious. So going on from that, they had arguably one of the best looks in the NHL because you had that beautiful Star jersey. It made sense. But then when Reebok ended up switching the whole league to Edge, this is where the Stars jersey design failed miserably.
Are you
They
talking
came
like
out with the word
the
mark.
Dallas word mark? Yeah.
Yep. Now, the thing was that the Reebok said that they couldn't do the Star design. They couldn't sublimate the design into the jersey. It wouldn't look good. So the Stars had to redesign.
It's ridiculous.
They failed miserably. They had the black, when the first season they had the black Dallas word mark, and then they had the white jersey, but it actually had the full crest on it. They had the normal Stars crest on it, which is one of my favorite Stars jerseys, actually. And even though it was very simple and stuff, it was still a beautiful jersey. You had the white, you had the gold, you had this shiny gold. It looked good. It looked like a modern Stars jersey.
Are those the ones that had the numbers like on the front too?
Yeah, where Buffalo had theirs. Yeah, they joined the Buffalo craze of doing that. But it looked good. It looked good.
It didn't look bad. I just pulled up a picture. Yeah, it's clean.
Yeah, and then compared to their home jersey, which had zero green in it.
Those colors in it, yeah.
There was no green in it. It was just gold, white, and black. And Dallas and the Stars were green. They've been green since 1967, and you take away the green. So it was something that a lot of fans didn't like, me included, especially like it just didn't look good. So then the next year they were able to have a third jersey. You'd think they come out with a black jersey with the front crest. No, they came out with a white word mark because Stars fans can't have nice things apparently. And then that became their full-time away jersey, and the full crest jersey ended up being a third and then scrapped altogether. And which looked terrible for their 20th anniversary. Now, all behind this, they were having problems with management. They were having problems with ownership problems. They had Joe Nieuwendyk, who I love as a player. He was a terrible general manager. The Stars were going through a really turbulent time. There was talks about them moving to Winnipeg, actually. And it was a big problem with their management. But then they were able to get a new owner in Tom Ghilardi, and Ghilardi did not like he wanted to redesign because he didn't like the Stars jerseys. Two, he didn't like black. He hates black. Yeah, we're gonna keep going on that. It's gonna come back in a few minutes. He hates black, and he wanted something that said this is his team, not the turbulent team of the past. So he did the redesign. He came out with this beautiful victory green and stuff, which looked great. And at the time, I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I think I went to my parents. I said, "This is terrible. I hate it. It is the worst design ever. I can't believe they went away from gold. Silver is such a number 2 color, which this year during the Stanley Cup Finals kind of proves that." But it grew on me. It grew on me as soon as I saw Tyler Seguin in it, Jamie Benn, and showing that they actually made the playoffs for the first time in 6 years in 2014. It warmed me up to the idea of this being the new Stars look. I still hate the shoulder patch because it doesn't have the Texas patch on it, but that's me. So that was okay. I was like, okay, cool. Let's see if we get a black third jersey. And then 10 years or 7 years went by and there was no changes. Even when they went to Adidas, they didn't change anything. They didn't do anything. This was just it. The look started to get played out because, well, if you have a jersey long enough, people are going to get bored with it. They aren't going to sell very well because it's the same as the Reebok. It's the same, like no one's going to buy them anymore because what's the point?
The one
So
thing that I'll say about this design that, for me, less familiar with Dallas, um, I well, just I knew that they came from Minnesota and it was the North Stars kind of leftover logo. And then when they made this new victory green one and they went back to the star behind the D, that star looked more like a Texas star, like a lone star. And I was like,
hmm,
this is more now a Texas identity than a leftover Minnesota identity.
exactly. Now, actually, the star, so the exact shape of the star for the new logo or for the redesigned logo
Mhm.
is actually still in the shape of the original star. So they did
Mhm.
include that element. If you overlay the star over the other one, it does match. Like the tilt is right and all the dimensions is right. It's just you have the D in the middle of it instead of having stars written over top. But that's a small thing. Um, but yeah, so they had this look for 10 years, or 7 years, sorry. And a lot of Stars fans were like, "We want the star design back. We want a black jersey." And a lot of people were just like getting bored with the look, right? It looks good on TV. It looks great when you're wearing it, but of course it gets boring. And then when it came out that the Stars were going to host the Winter Classic, I was so excited. It wasn't because of the Winter Classic. It was because the Stars were actually
Jersey.
getting a new jersey. And I was kind of hoping they would go back to the star design. Oh, I kind of hope I didn't wish for that anymore. But they came up with a fantastic third jersey, or sorry, Winter Classic jersey.
Mhm.
And this talks about you said how this is now a Dallas team. This wasn't leftover Minnesota.
Mhm.
And that's true. They went to Dallas history, not Minnesota history. And with the North Stars for the Dallas Rangers, I believe it was called, or the Texas Rangers before the baseball team. They had a hockey team in the 40s, and that's what they based the Winter Classic jersey on. And it was great. It was a knock out of the park. A lot of people stated that that was probably one of the best Winter Classic jerseys in the last decade. So they did a great job.
I
My
loved
problem
it.
was, sorry.
I loved it. I thought it was really well done too, and I also like the felt aspect of it and the Texas on the
I'm
s
wearing it.
on
I'm wearing my Made in Canada one right now, so
Oh,
I
that's
love it.
awesome.
Um, But yeah, so this was one that a lot of Stars fans loved. They were sold out. Adidas really dropped the ball on stock for
Demand.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, demand. They didn't know how in demand it would be. You have a jersey that you have a team that hasn't released a new jersey in 7 years. You're going to see a huge amount of people wanting this jersey. So it was good, right? It was a jersey that everyone wanted, and even now you can't find an Indonesian made one for probably less than $300 US. Like that's how much people are wanting for these, and a lot of people bought them
Wow.
for $180 off the shelf. So it definitely is in
That's
demand
true.
because Adidas promised a second wave in March, but that never happened
Oh, that got canceled.
because of COVID.
COVID.
Yeah, so it became such a hard time trying to get this going, and yeah. Now I was texting Ben. Now we're going to the summer here. I was texting Ben, Ben from Ben H Sports.
Shout out Ben H Sports.
Oh yeah, and I asked him to put me on the list for the Stars' third jersey because he had told me that there was a third jersey coming. It was rumored for a few years now that a third jersey was coming for the Stars, and he said that this year it's probably coming. I'm like, okay, okay. And I was texting him. I said, you know what? The Stars have a record of having a good jersey. Like if it's a fantastic jersey, you're going to get a really ugly jersey next with the Stars. You have the 97 alternate jersey that they had, which became their regular road and home jersey, which was fantastic. Then you got the Mooters. So a
They
lot
don't
of
know
people
how to keep a good thing going, is what
exactly.
you're
They have a
saying.
problem with that. So when I was texting him, I said, the Winter Classic is probably one of the best jerseys that Dallas has put out in the last 20 years. That is, I'm worried on what's going to happen now.
I've
Is the
consulted
pendulum
the
is going to swing
oracle,
the
and
opposite way?
you'll get my money either way, but for the record, going into this, I know I'm gonna not like it.
Yeah, I was worried. I was like, maybe they've learned their lesson. And when this jersey was teased, and me and Stoof
Mhm.
here on Discord and Jersey Constellation on Instagram, him and I got together and we are like, okay, how are we going to figure this out? And he ended up getting a mock-up done up of what the jersey might look like. It was a black jersey. So we were kind of trying to figure that out. And we thought it was going to be a black version with the new logo from the 90s. We were starting to think that that was the jersey that was going to come. And we thought, man, that's good. That'll look great. That'll look sick. Then they did one more tease and showed more of it. And then we realized they're using the Texas patch and they're using a new color, which took us way off guard. The Stars in their history now have 3 or 4 different shades of green in their history. And that shocked us. So
Yeah.
the jersey dropped. And of course I bought it and it looks really good. In my personal opinion, it does look really good. I like it.
And just so
Especially
we're clear, we're talking about the
the blackout,
dark one. Yeah,
one.
the
Yeah.
blackout, is
Yeah.
that what it's unofficially called?
Yes. It's called the blackout by the Stars organization. And it is. It is a blacked out jersey. Um,
And it's sweet.
one,
It's got, like,
it
the
is
dark and then, like, this really bright green, like,
this neon green.
neon Tron green, and then it's got
It's
the
called Dallas Skyline Green is what it's called.
skyline green.
Skyline Green. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So
Sounds like
this
something
comes.
you'd, like, name a car paint color.
Oh, exactly, right? So this was the Stars' second attempt at creating a third jersey, because they did have the word marks, which are supposed to be for the city of Dallas. But this is their third jersey that they designed for the state of Texas. Like this is for the fans in Texas, right? And that's why you have the Texas logo on the front. That's why you name the color skyline green for the Dallas skyline. And they designed it for the fans in Texas.
And they
I
also
think
have
they
that inside collar thing
yes.
say, "Come
Yeah.
and take it," and it's the Alamo flag.
Yeah, exactly, right? And then they have the Texas flag wrapping around the whole neckline there with the
Yeah.
star on the shoulder. When I first saw that star, I thought they were indicating their one Stanley Cup win, but thank God it was the Lone Star State instead, because I was like,
Yeah.
well, you know my feeling on teams showing off they
Yeah.
have a cup, right?
Yeah. I was
I think it's a
wondering
jinx.
that too. But I actually, my reaction was opposite because I also own the um Stadium Series one with Chicago where they put the 4 stars in the same place for the 4 stars on their flag. And
Mhm.
so I was like, "Oh, boom, that's what it is, Lone Star." And I like it there. And
Yeah.
but I was a little worried too. I knew I would need to explain to people like, "No, they're not gloating about that one Stanley Cup. That would
Yeah.
be kinda stupid."
Now, the thing I was kind of thinking about this jersey, and we'll get to the reverse retro in a minute, but
If
I
we
was
have
thinking
to.
about this jersey. When the Winter Classic was announced, they did this whole like article talking about how Dallas was chosen as the Winter Classic. And I read it. I was fascinated by the Winter Classic. I was so excited. I got tickets to drive down and go watch the Winter Classic on New Year's Day. I got my first chance to go to the American Airlines Center for the first time, because all the
Oh,
Stars games
cool.
I've watched was in Edmonton. So being the away team all the time doesn't really work,
Right.
especially when Edmonton is also a team I cheer for. Um, but so why can't I think?
So no, it's
So
cool. So you're driving
yeah,
down
so
to
we
the Winter
drove we
Classic,
drove down
right?
to the Winter Classic. Yeah, it was about 30-hour drive. It took us a few days. We left on Christmas Day, and we got down there on the 28th, I believe, just in time to. No, we got down there on the 27th, and we the 28th was the Avalanche and Stars, and that went to shootout and with a Jamie Benn winner. So that was awesome. Um, but so I went down there. I was so fascinated with the Winter Classic and stuff. But during this article, they were talking about how they were looking at AT&T Stadium, Jerry's World, to do a stadium series. But it Jerry Jones didn't really want a hockey game played in AT&T Stadium, or a bunch of things. It just negotiations didn't work out. And so the Stars management said, "Hey, why don't we head over to the Cotton Bowl and see what that looks like?" And so they went to the Cotton Bowl, and they felt like it wasn't a stadium series location, but it was a Winter Classic location. So the NHL then went from trying to give a stadium series to Dallas to a Winter Classic feel. Now,
Huh.
I have a feeling that this blackout jersey was probably initially designed
Oh,
for a stadium series because it is so futuristic. It is so, no, it's probably not like exact on what they were planning on doing it, but it looks like a stadium series jersey. It looks like that futuristic jersey that you'd see at a stadium series. Like, look at Avalanche and LA this year. It was so futuristic. This one too.
interesting.
I think this was probably the design they tried to come up with. I would love to talk to Stars management and say, "Hey, did you initially design this jersey for a stadium series that never happened?" And but that's what I feel
Ooh.
is like. I haven't told anyone this either. I've never had the opportunity to say it, but yeah, I think this is probably was had elements of their stadium series that they were planning on doing. So
I like this idea, and
it makes
I
sense.
it makes sense. It's like, do I the way you laid all of that out now, it's like, okay, I'm definitely into this conspiracy theory for sure.
And especially because when they released this jersey, they said they've been designing it for the better part of 3 years. So 3 years ago, they were still planning on a stadium series. So it comes up to that idea of probably was for a stadium series jersey. No, that was a great release. I got it. I ended up doing really well on Reddit that when I went to a mini glow in the dark mini putt or blacklight mini putt, and I posted jokingly that it glowed in the dark because I was in black light to just trying to make
Mhm.
a joke. A lot of people hated that because they're like, "Oh, it doesn't glow in the dark." Well, I just made a joke, but okay.
Yeah.
Um, but it ended up blowing
Yay,
up on
internet.
Reddit. It blew up on Reddit. So many people saw it, and then I got called out on Ben's Discord group for saying that, yeah, the Stars jersey has seen, like, I wasn't expecting so many people to
You
want the Stars
spiked
jersey.
sales.
And someone credited me as like, yeah, he went to a blacklight place and showed it off, and now everyone wants it.
That's so awesome.
So I'll take credit for that one. But yeah, no, it was.
Definitely.
I actually really like. I hate the one thing I hate the Stars doing is that they have kits that have perforation in it. They have the holes in the numbers
Mhm.
because it is so hard for me to get the kit for it unless I want to pay through the arm and the nose and stuff like that. So I hate it. But with this one, I actually kind of like it because it has the lime green underneath. It does a bevel effect. It looks great, actually. I like it a lot. Now the winner, now the reverse retro, and I think the reason why I like this third jersey so much was because you had this, you had the idea of like, oh yeah, now we have the reverse retro coming, and you were seeing mock-ups of jerseys that were kind of, especially Vegas's, that they were able to not do the original logo of the Las Vegas Thunder. They were able to do their own logo. And I was thinking, okay, maybe the rule is that you can do a reverse retro in current colors and your logo, right?
Mhm.
So I was thinking, okay, well, the Stars might do a star design with the current logo. And that's what a lot of Stars fans have been hoping for. And then when the first teaser came through on the third day of the teasers, or sorry, the first day was that whole video of stuff. It was 99. The Stars one was 99 in white and victory green, and we're like, sweet. That means it's going to be a victory green Stars or a star design. That's awesome. And then we saw the teaser, and it showed the original shoulder patch, which was awesome, just in current colors. And I was like, sweet. That means we're
So
going to
far,
get
so good.
so far so good. I was so hyped. And then I saw the bottom of the jersey.
Yeah.
And that's where it fails. That is exactly where it fails. That dead space at the bottom of the jersey that they could have done black, they could have done green, they could have done any other color. That's where it fails for me. And even though it does look really good, I thought the star design was really, it looked really bad. But then there was the hanger in Dallas, the team store. They have an MIC on display, and it looks good, even though they want
Mhm.
$3,000 for
What?
MIC
No.
reverse retros. Yes,
No.
you can
That's
pre-order gamers for them, and game issued ones are starting at $3,000.
oh my god.
For AHL.
That's just a problem in the market I need a
Mhm.
soapbox for if I had my own podcast
And
and be
apparent
oh,
and a
wait,
current and that's something that apparently has been talked around the league already. About some other teams are also offering like $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 for pre-orders for these, for game worn ones. And it's just, wow, okay, that's a minimum. So you have to have $10,000 for a Jamie Benn or a Tyler Seguin one.
yeah, because we all know, like, that's how much those will really go for, you
Yeah,
know?
I bought my Winter Classic for $500.
Like, I mean, like
It's still a little bit more, but it was
no,
like,
but you have a rare ass jersey, though, too. Like
exactly. It was a rare jersey, but it was $500, not $3,000.
no, exactly. Uh
And I think the Winter Classic is probably rarer than the reverse retro, but whatever,
You know,
whatever.
though, like, honestly, it's I know people are already shaking their head at us for spending the level that we spend at, and I know there's people that spend at the next tier up
Oh
that's
yeah,
totally fine for them, and so I just wanna make sure everyone knows that, like, we're not ragging on what you can or can't afford. We just, we're more talking about the accessibility of these things to the common fan who wants
yeah,
them, you know?
exactly, right. And especially because you can buy a Stanley Cup game worn jersey right now for $400.
What?
You can buy Stars Stanley Cup game
Damn.
worn jerseys for $400. Stanley Cup.
Wow.
Yeah, they didn't win the
That's
cup.
That's amazingly good.
That is amazingly good. Yeah. So It's
does it have Jamie Benn's tears still on it?
oh, that one hurts. Ouch.
Oh, I'm sorry. He actually, like, for someone that has, been an instrumental force behind Canada hockey, which I'm a huge fan of. I actually looked at these pressers and the footage of him just sitting in his gear after the game, like, still completely dressed while everyone else's stuff is already in the laundry hopper, and it's like, guy just was so deflated and he left it all out there. Like, the moment is sad, but it also is, like, respect gaining from me in a lot of ways. I
Mhm.
just, you don't have to react that way to gain my respect, for the record, but it to him, he was, I don't know, he was showing me something, and I
He
was
did
just
everything he
yeah,
possibly could. He was playing through injury. He did everything. He tried leading that team to a Stanley Cup. And, there's a chance that is his only chance to win a Stanley Cup in his career. And that is, the most heartbreaking thing, that he gave it his all for this, especially because he was such a late round draft pick too. He probably never even expected to make the NHL, being drafted in the 5th round. Like, he did everything he possibly could to win that Stanley Cup, and he just couldn't do it. And I was watching that documentary. The Stars did an hour-long documentary on their cup run, and just watching him at the end of the game, just no one else was in the room, and it was just him and Janmark, and it just it gained so much respect for me that he is now up to that level of Modano for me. Like, that is a huge honor for any player to be up at that point of me, because Modano I held so highly. I put him there now, even though he hasn't won a Stanley Cup yet. If he still plays with that determination, comes out next season and just wants it, just like Tampa did this year, wanting that because they got humiliated last time.
yeah.
If he comes out with that, rallies the team around it, I I think the Stars are going to try to make another Stanley Cup appearance this year. But that's like, that has gained so much respect. I was planning on putting Dobby on my reverse retro, which that's another thing. I'm so happy the reverse retro is actually like normal number twill and not perforation, so I can actually do my own work and I don't have to go get it customized somewhere else. Um, but
That's good.
yeah, I was planning on Dobby because he was actually a former Saskatoon Blade. He played his junior hockey years in Saskatoon, so that was awesome. There was a lot of fans in Saskatoon cheering on the Stars because of Dobby. Um, Same thing with Braden Holtby, because Braden Holtby played his junior years here, and he's from Saskatchewan. But
I wonder if, like, I play hockey without socks on, um, and I'm barefoot in my skates. I wonder
oh, you're
if,
one of
like,
those people.
yeah, I wonder if anyone
Oh,
just threw Dobby a sock, if he'd still play for Dallas, or if he'd think he's free. It's
he's free
the Harry
because he
Potter
finally got.
joke.
He's finally he's home.
Yeah, he's on a new deal, man.
He's on a 3-year deal, and he's the starter too,
Hell yeah,
because
and
Bishop is hurt for the next couple of
yeah,
nights.
and I'm stoked for Bowness too. Like, he was a huge coach to help Tampa Bay get to where Tampa Bay was,
Oh
but
yeah,
he was all I mean, I could talk a whole episode about him because he was also on the Canucks for a really long time and instrumental in all of their success as well.
yeah. So one thing I do want to talk about. So we'll get off this right now, but I do one thing I do want to talk about. I know you've talked about it before. Was or said was that how I got started in jersey collecting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one thing I kind of like talking about, because it is kind of a little journey for me. So when I was a kid wearing that little Stars jersey in Prince Albert, I loved wearing a jersey. It was awesome wearing my team's jersey. And when I moved to Saskatoon, I put on a Red Wing jersey, and it was kind of heartbreaking. But then on the other hand, though, then I looked at players that were in the NHL at the time for the Red Wings. You had I think Steve Eiserman was still playing at that point. You had who else was playing? Darn,
Give
who
me a year.
won? You had Datsuk. You had
Oh,
their cup year.
Zetterberg,
Their
Datsuk,
yeah.
Draper, Maltby, Hasek, Hull,
Yeah,
Robitaille.
none of them were like end up being my favorite players, but still respectful that hey, there's Iserman, there's Zetterberg, there's Stasuk, like there was a ton of players. I was like, okay, yeah, that's great. So I put that jersey on, but then as I'm playing and stuff, and I got older, every time I threw on a jersey, I kind of felt like I was a kid again, wearing
Huh.
a jersey of a team I love. And so that's kind of where that started. And the whole thing started, I think, on my 16th birthday, where my mom ended up buying me. It was it was it was right when Dallas rebranded to their new jerseys or to their new look.
Okay.
As when I turned 16, and so my mom for Christmas got me a Reebok Premier of a white New Jersey, and she paid 150 Canadian dollars for it. And then she bought me a $20 Jamie Benn green one from China. And I barely wore that white one because the green one was so much better.
Hmm.
The Chinese one was so much better. And I didn't really care about being fake or not. I was a high school student. I didn't have any money to buy a bunch of jerseys that I wanted. So especially because I wanted just to wear the design of the jersey. So I bought a lot of Stars jerseys and players. So like when Spezza signed with the team, I bought a fake of that and stuff. And that was I was pretty content with that. I just bought fakes because I couldn't afford anything better. And then 2017 came around, and at the start of the season, I saw a Vegas Golden Knight jersey in the store. It was before the team started playing, and I was like, you know what? I kind of want that jersey. And the thing about it was that I was able to buy a fake Vegas jersey already, and I got it, and it was so bad.
Okay.
It was even the Reebok fakes were
As
good.
as far as fakes go, this was
Yeah,
pretty bad.
it was really bad. Like the gold wasn't even the right gold. It was Vegas. It was Vegas gold, but which is not the right gold.
Was
And
it
it
just,
was
like, square, not tapered and stuff too?
actually no, the cut wasn't that bad. But the name on the back of the name kit on the back was just crooked, and the colors were wrong. They had like a puck sized Adidas logo on the front for
Oof.
the button. And it was just bad. It was a bad fake. And I still wore it because again, it was fakes. I didn't care. I walked into the store and saw this Vegas jersey. I'm like, oh, $200. Am I going to afford that? Yeah, why not? And I touched it and I'm like, oh, this looks so good. The crest looks better. The gold looks better. Okay, I'm sold. I bought it. So that was the first real jersey or officially licensed jersey I bought for myself. And that was where everything went downhill.
You
Then I bought the white one, and I got Braden McNabb on the white one because Saskatoon boy, great guy, or not Saskatoon, Saskatchewan boy, um, wanted to cheer that on. And actually, at the time, there's actually a lot of Vegas fans in Saskatchewan because that first year there was such a push by two guys here in Saskatchewan to get the province to recognize or to officially name Vegas as our official team
Okay.
because it was cheaper for us to fly down to Vegas than it is to fly to Toronto.
Okay. Gotcha.
So,
And
so
similar time zones, right, for games and stuff?
that too, yep. And there was such a huge push for it. Even Vegas like was going all in on it. They were making on their social media. They were saying, "Hey, have you ever heard of Saskatchewan?" Hi, and they were doing news segments on Saskatchewan and how there's a bunch of fans up here, especially during the Vegas's playoff run. They were really hammering it, and they even had who's the Vegas mascot? What's his name?
I don't know. Is it
The
it's a
Guillemot.
knight, right?
No, it's the Gia monster, the lizard. Oh, I can't remember his name, but either way, he actually flew up to Saskatoon and handed a jersey to Gainer the Gopher, who is our Saskatchewan Rough Rider mascot. He's our football mascot, and our premier Scott Moe, our governor
Wait,
in U.S. sense.
Chance.
Chance, that's it. Yeah,
I like
yeah.
how in a city about gambling, the name of the mascot's Chance, of
I
course.
know, right? But yeah, so he actually flew up to Saskatchewan and actually handed jerseys to our premier, our governor, and our and yeah, so it was an interesting thing,
That's
and
cool. They use like jerseys as like a peace offering gift scenario.
trying to get us to recognize Vegas as our team. So it kind of worked. The premier did end up wearing the jersey for a photo shoot, but he was a huge Oiler fan, so I doubt that'll ever happen again.
Ha.
But but yeah, so that was an interesting thing. But yeah, so I got that, and then I ended up buying a Stars 25th anniversary white jersey, and it was a Jamie Benn one, and I loved it. And then I started working for Lids,
Uh-oh.
and before Fanatics bought Lids, it was great because I got a
You could buy
40% discount.
jerseys from Lids at a point, right?
I
Can you
got
still, Glenn?
40% discount. Yeah,
Uh-oh.
you can still buy jerseys from them, yeah. But
Oh,
I got
that's
a 40%
dangerous.
discount and free shipping to the
Oh,
stores.
no. Oh, no.
Yeah. So I bought a lot of Adidas jerseys. So I bought the Oilers home and away. I bought the Jets home and away. I bought all these different jerseys because it was 40% off. So I'm buying blank jerseys for that were 200 regular. I buy them for $120. And a good chunk of my paycheck would go to jerseys. And then I got into buying eBay things. And when I started collecting, like some people do the 31 teams,
Hmm.
I'm not one of those people. If I wear I'm never going to wear a jersey of a team I don't cheer for because, well, I'm never going to wear a Blues jersey in my life. So that's
That's the end
proof.
of that conversation.
That's
It's like,
proof. So
once I know that, it dictates the collection and it'll never include one.
exactly. And I like wearing my jerseys. So no matter if they're game worn or not, I'll still wear them because I enjoy them.
Mhm.
And so that was the biggest thing that I decided. I was like, okay, I'm just going to collect jerseys of the teams I cheer for. And I want to collect one iteration of the jersey that they have had throughout since their move to Dallas. Because if I wanted to collect the North Star ones, I felt like I was going to have a big problem with that, especially because there's a lot of designs that
Yeah, the further back you go to, it's like a wild, wild west. There was no jersey control. It's
exactly.
crazy.
And unless CCM did a vintage series of it, there was no hope in hell I was getting one. So I decided just to stick with Dallas. And finally, I was able to finish it because I was trying to find those inaugural season jerseys, and that was the biggest problem. But I was able to find an inaugural season one for like $25. It was just a replica, and so there, I finished my Stars collection. I was so happy. But then there was something nagging at me because I had bought during this whole time, all of them were replicas except one. One of them ended up being a black word mark Dallas jersey that was an authentic. It was an Edge 1.0.
Okay. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, the ones they
And
only wore for one season, right?
yeah, exactly. But it wasn't like it was just a retail authentic, but it was an authentic.
Hmm.
And I got hooked. I got hooked hard. So after collecting all the Stars jerseys, and I was still doing that with the Oilers and the Jets and stuff like that, I was like, okay, well, I need to still collect those, but I want authentic Stars too. So I started collecting authentic Stars. So I was able to get a Edge jerseys for this new Stars. I was able to get the white version, and that's when I went on my buying spree. I bought an authentic Mooteris. I bought authentic Star jerseys. Like I pretty much replaced my entire collection instead except one jersey now, and that is the white inaugural jersey that they wore for one season. I need to find an authentic one of that. But and then I've started doing the same with Ottawa, Winnipeg, and Edmonton, which are the teams I cheer for. And Winnipeg is actually fairly easy because they only have worn a couple of them. But Edmonton, I had to cut it off at the 90s. Again, that same idea of going
You
back too
say
far.
this.
What?
You say this. I'm looking forward to the day where it's like, I had to cut it off at the 90s, and then I just fast forward to a year from now, it's like, so I got
I found a
everything
Nike
done.
Gretzky.
Oh, fuck.
I
Ah.
found a Nike Gretzky. Darn it. Okay,
Oh,
well, I
yeah,
guess I have to do it.
exactly. Yeah, what are you gonna do at that point, right?
Uh,
So
right
you
now I'm
cut
gonna say no because I know how much those go for.
Yeah, of course.
That's taking it to the next level, which I cannot afford. But yeah, no, they so yeah, no, I that's where I got into authentics, and yeah, I'm not into the game warrants. I do get like, especially for Adidas, you have to get game warrants because you can't get, especially for the stars, you can't get game issued ones. And when you do, it's very rare. Like I got this Winter Classic one as a game issued, so I was happy I got it, but I'll never probably get it again because the stars don't like doing that kind of thing. It's just game worn, or they just strip the jersey and put a different player on it. So,
Yeah, it's just, yeah, that whole experience is very common with availability on those jerseys. Game worn or team issued makes those Adidas made in Canada. That's number one. But then most of the time you have to know like equipment managers. You have to go to
oh
team
yeah,
auctions at the end of the year in person or online. You have to
mm-hmm.
go to charity events. You need to know people going to those charity events to be your proxy because chances are you're not driving 30 hours every time you want a jersey, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And so you're ending up paying this exorbitant price because someone else has gone through that hard work of seeking out that jersey for you. That's
Yeah.
probably most of where the cost is right there, is
Mm-hmm.
the connections built over a long time of mining this community of resources, and then just also the sheer rarity of them. They're very uncommon. So,
Actually, I won't say his name, but I was really lucky that a guy found me on Instagram, saw my account on Instagram, and liked every single one of my Stars jerseys on it. And I was like, okay, it's cool, interesting, cool, yeah, yeah. And he ended up messaging me saying, "Hey, don't think I'm a weirdo. I just really like all your Stars jerseys." So nice guy. Him and I started talking, and finds out that he works for Blake's, which is the Stars customizer. And he was able to get me a couple patches that you cannot find anywhere else because Blake has them in his has them in on his shelves, and no one really buys them. So he was able to uh, get me a few, and yeah, so I'm happy. And one of them is a Yari Lettinen retirement patch because they didn't
oh
sell them.
wow.
They didn't sell them to the public unless you were at the game. So
Yeah.
that
That's so
one
cool.
that one was a hard patch to get, and he had one, and I was like, yes, that was so happy. So, and then like some Texas Star patches too that you can't get anywhere else. So, again, super happy, and so it's weird how like this community can help, but especially being a huge Stars fan in Canada, it's very difficult to find people that will, or to make those connections with people down, especially in Dallas, to do that for me, right? Because you're basically trusting them with a lot of money to buy a jersey for you, especially if it's a game worn or stuff like that, right?
Oh, yeah,
You're
and
trusting.
sometimes you will also, like, come across people that may wanna do it friends and family on PayPal, and
Oh,
it's like,
exactly.
I need vouchers right now because, like, now I don't really have buyer protection anymore, and
Hmm.
I need people to make sure this is gonna go okay because that's where I get crazy nervous 'cause, pictures can only tell you most of the story, and there's been times that I've just had horror stories and got sunk with that cost because the service I use doesn't do returns. And I'm like, ooh,
Mhm.
should have realized that. Um,
Yeah, that is definitely a bad thing. That happens a lot. I've actually been lucky enough to not have that happen. Now I'm gonna jinx myself, so I'm gonna knock on wood, but yeah, I've been pretty lucky with that so far.
the good news is that I think for the most part, and we're getting off on a tangent, but it's a common thing this happens in this game that we're playing is like it's a gamble. You're addicted, you sometimes take some gambles, they don't pay off, but
You're fascinated, right?
yeah, definitely. I I want it I sometimes it's the thrill of the hunt. Sometimes it's
Oh, exactly.
definitely also like I know enough about stitching or restoration or cleaning that I feel like this jersey is definitely only worth that much. But if I
Mhm.
clean it up and do my stitching and patchwork to it, I am going to wear this thing and I'm going to love it and I'm going to be so happy that I only paid $30 for it originally or
Oh,
something like that.
exactly.
'Cause
And
sometimes I just wish people knew ahead, like, "No, you don't put it in the dryer." Oh my god, you just
oh my
I
god,
and I
no,
know you
no,
love
no.
your jersey, but don't do that. Now you've ruined it, and it's like, there's some things you can't undo, and I like
That's
finding
one
the
of them.
person that, like, at least that part of it's okay, and it's really just, like, a stain here or there, and they just don't know what to do, and I'm like, "Okay, whatever you do, don't be like these people that I sometimes are like, "Hey, yeah, and I noticed I tried to get the stain out for you, so I washed it once, and then I'm gonna send it to you." I'm like, "Oh god, no. Oh god, no," because 'cause I'm afraid, and twice it's happened to me where I get the jersey in worse condition as a result of it being washed because,
Jeez.
like, they'll take they don't understand that, like, some of these things are from, like, like the 80s or 90s and have been in their closet the whole time and hasn't come out yet. And I'm like, yes, exactly. Don't touch it anymore. Bring it to me right like that. And they'll like put it in the washing machine on warm and like that CCM will just wash completely right out of it and flake right
Oh,
off. And I'm just like opening a box that has literal like confetti particles of that CCM as I'm unfolding it. I'm like, uh-oh, this isn't going to end well. And man, I don't know. It's frustrating, but those are the fun ones when they work out
mhm.
because that's when you know that, you're either giving this to somebody else that's really gonna appreciate it, or you're keeping it for yourself, hopefully, at that point.
Oh,
Um,
exactly.
but
Yeah, I always wash my jerseys, um, on cold, and I hang dry them. You turn them inside out so it doesn't wreck the crest, and you do it that way. That's how you do it. That's how the teams do it. So you should do it the same way. That's or you can do it by hand or put in an oxy bath or stuff like that. But I tend to do a cold rinse on that. But also I use a detergent that has oxy in it, so it makes it nice and white. I just got a Stars jersey the other day, a team issued Edge 2.0, and it was stained, it smoked, it was bad. But I just washed it. Perfect now. I'm happy with it. But no drying.
yeah, man. But that's awesome that you're doing that stuff too, because I know this is only gonna satisfy a few people out there, but there is this oddly satisfying thing about dunking a jersey into a tub of Oxy and seeing that water turn a tan color. It's weird to explain unless you've been through the cycle yourself and you're like, "Oh my god, I am definitely now the go from the" like, they could do an infomercial about me for sure of, like, black and white, like, "Is this your jersey?" And then it's, like, OxyClean later, and you're like, "Now I'm walking around," and I'm, like, in color, and I'm, like, prancing and skipping down the street, like, for sure. Um,
Oh, yeah, no, I actually have not done an OxyClean bath yet.
oh, you're missing out, man.
Well, I just wash them in in the washer and hang dry them. I've never had a jersey fall apart on me, luckily, but I use an oxy detergent, so that always works for me. I also do it on delicates, and I do it on. I be careful with it at least, especially because the amount of times I do stripping of jerseys,
mhm.
I wash them because I can't. I can't have acetone. Like that'll just be terrible for the like I can't stand the smell of acetone, so making it I have to wash it out. So
Oh, definitely.
I know some people strip jerseys and then just dry them and they leave the acetone in the material. It smells a little bit, but they can live with it. It's like just wash it. Like that way it's not going to go up in flames if you put something hot near it.
Oh,
So,
man.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
that would
no,
not be good.
I'm lucky that I'm able to do my own customization. I actually got into customizing when so here in Saskatoon, I had that first Vegas jersey. I bought it blank, and I wanted to go and buy or get a name on it. I wanted Flurry on it really badly. So I went down to the local shop here and I asked him, okay, how much is it to get a name on it? And he said, well, it's what did he say? So it's $130 and it will take 6 to 8 weeks. And and they had to ship it to Calgary and then back. And I was like, well, no, I don't want to pay that kind of money because the jersey I bought for $200, I don't want to spend $130 to put a name on it. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to do it. But then I found a kit online for Flurry kit, which in hindsight is not a very good kit, but it was my first try at this. And I bought the kit. I called my grandma and said, hey, I need help. I don't know how to sew. When I was in Air Cadets, or which would be kind of like Boy Scouts, but it's more militaristic here in Canada. Um,
Okay.
Basically, it's we have Air, Sea, Army cadets. I don't know. It's like a military kind of school, but it's a like after school program. Kind of like the Scouts, but yeah, more militaristic. So I learned how to sew on my rank badges and stuff like that by hand, but I never knew how to use a sewing machine. So we, so I asked my grandma, it's like, hey, can you help me? So she brought over her sewing machine and we sat down and she taught me how to sew. I sewed for probably about 6 hours that day, just trying to figure out how to do this. And I also at the same time, I bought a kit for Anderson for Ottawa.
Okay.
I got a 100-year classic jersey and I was like, okay, yeah, we'll try this. Looking back at those jerseys now, they are bad. The stitching on them, oh, they're bad. I'm thinking about going back and redoing them, but oh, I
But
learned
you left
so
the
much.
house and grandma was telling you you did a great job, young man, right?
Yeah, well, now I've done well over probably 100 kits,
Wow.
and I've made my own jersey now. I've jumped on that custom jersey train, which I'm having a lot of fun with. I've only done one so far, which a lot of people have loved and have asked my help to make their own. And
Yeah,
I
actually, can we talk about that a little bit?
sure.
Yeah, because I wanted to tell people kind of about that trend recently, but also how it's kind of the result of this gradual progression into things. And what we're talking about is like this custom jersey on a different level, not just like customizing with a nameplate, but
Mhm.
the concept of taking more of a custom approach to making your own jersey using either existing other parts of other jerseys or creating your own patches and crests to then create this color combo and look that you're going for. And the reason why I think this is like a very cool part of the jersey stage right now is because it's taking something that is very traditionally more like skill with your hands and now it's adding in this creativity
Oh,
concept to
exactly.
it. So explain to us like what you did and what is going on with that industry or trend or situation right now, I should say.
Mhm. So actually, my idea started. So there's Scooby. Is his name Scooby Doo
Yeah.
on here? I think he has it as Scooby Doo right now. But there's Scooby and Canucks
Scooby's
fan
jerseys.
67.
Yep.
Sorry, yeah,
Uh,
Scooby jerseys. Yeah.
and then Canucks Forever
Oh
67.
yeah, yeah. Canucks forever 67. They've been doing a couple jerseys they've been doing a lot of jerseys actually, and it kind of inspired me. It's like that's really cool. I kind of like that idea. And I was like, maybe I don't know where you get the patches made up. I don't know what to do. I highly suggest anyone who's listening go check them out on Instagram or Reddit or Discord. They do a fantastic job on their jerseys. Um,
It's quite amazing.
oh, they are. That Miami one he just showed that he just finished. It looks fantastic.
It does. Yeah.
Um,
And
but
Scooby's one, did you see where he's like done it with the Charlotte Hornets like blue color on a Carolina
oh
Hurricanes
yeah, that
jersey?
one looked great.
Oof.
And then there was a someone I just saw it today. It was a Colorado Avalanche and Rockies crossover, like the baseball team Rockies, not the
Oh,
hockey
cool.
team Rockies. So that was cool. But so I kind of started it's such a cool, like niche thing in our thing or in our community because it is unique. It's people using their imagination to come up with these mashups. And mine isn't a mashup. Kind of is, but it isn't. A lot of these jerseys end up being mashups between like a team or
Like two different
NHL team and
teams.
another sports team.
Yes. Yeah. Mhm.
The Stars do that every year. They have a Texas Rangers night where they wear for warm up. They wear a blue or red jersey with Texas over top of it, and they have the Dallas Star on the shoulder recolored in red, white, and blue, and it's a
Mhm.
really cool jersey.
Mhm.
Um, they do that every year, and then the guy or Jersey Constellation did a Cowboys and Stars crossover, which looked fantastic. Except he finished it right when Dak Prescott broke his leg, which kind of sucks as a Cowboy fan. Um,
Yeah.
but so it's kind of a cool niche thing that this Jersey community is doing, and I wanted to kind of do something along those lines, but I didn't really care if I did a Cowboys mashup. I didn't really care if it was like the Mavericks or because I'm not from Dallas. Like I like the Cowboys, but I'm not a basketball fan. And if I am a basketball fan, it'll be the Raptors. And I'm definitely not a baseball fan, but again, Blue Jays. Can't do a
True
Stars Blue
North,
Jay
baby.
crossover. And I will never have a Toronto Maple Leaf jersey. It's not because it's because my parents are huge Habs fans, and I might not care for the Habs, but that instilled hatred of the Leafs is still there. Um, but
So what's your mashup slash project jersey?
so
Let's
yeah,
call it one of those two.
yeah. So I call it a custom throwback jersey,
Okay.
is what I call it because it is. So earlier this year, the Kings did a Burger King warm up jersey, where it's just a normal Adidas practice jersey with a Burger King logo on it. And I thought that was the coolest thing in the world that they're honoring such a hideous logo and hideous jersey in their past with a warm up jersey. And I was thinking, shouldn't have the Stars done that for their 25th anniversary? That would have looked great to have like a Mooterus on a practice jersey. And that's where the light clicked on in my head. It's like, I'm going to do that. So I got a wild dead stock practice jersey, made in Canada one. I stripped the crest, which was the worst thing I've ever stripped in my life. I hated it, and I contacted a guy that everyone uses to get patches made up, Arch Dispatcher, and I did it. I made a Mooterus warm up jersey for the Stars. I put Jamie Benn on the back, and I got a shoulder patch. So on the original Mooterus, they had a red, gold, and green star on the lower arm as like alternate patches on the jersey. I put
Uh-huh.
one of those on the shoulder, and then I did the current Stars logo in Mooterus colors, red, gold, and green, and black, in on the other shoulder. So, and that actually looks fantastic. I love how the current logo looks in Mooterus colors. But
Cool.
so that's what I did. I ended up making it, and it's a one of a kind jersey, and I love it.
Yeah, dude. And I'm a big fan of it too. And I know that this will only fuel more passions and project ideas. And I think that's healthy. I think it's good to keep the creative juices flowing for sure. So,
My next, I will give you the scoop on my next project that I'm
oh,
working towards.
little inside scoop.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
So or last year, the Heritage Classic was played in Regina, Saskatchewan, between the Calgary Flames and the Winnipeg Jets. And it was played in the Saskatchewan Roughrider Stadium, and it's basically like in between Calgary and Winnipeg. So it was a perfect neutral spot. I went to the game; it was fantastic. But as Saskatchewan doesn't have an official NHL team, I'm planning on making a Saskatchewan Roughriders, Calgary Flames, and Winnipeg Jets crossover.
cool.
So it's
That would be so cool.
so to kind of recognize the game, I still have to figure out if I want to put. I'm gonna have the Calgary Flames logo and the Winnipeg Jets logo on both shoulders, but then I have to put the heritage patch somewhere, and I don't. I wanted it on the shoulder because that's where they put it for the game. So now I'm trying to figure out how to put that.
Yeah,
It's probably going to end up being a spot on the front, um, but then just a nice big Saskatchewan Roughrider logo. You should, if you haven't heard of the team, look them up. We're big fans here. It's every weekend. It's all about it's football country up here, including hockey country. But that's I think why I like Texas so much is because it's football country down there too.
yeah,
But
and so, like and, like, the green color is kinda similar too.
oh, exactly. Well, all the teams I cheer for are green. Like our lacrosse team up here, the Saskatchewan Rush, are actually the same color as the Stars' new blackout jersey. That same green. I have
Oh,
a
wow.
bright full green jersey I posted on Instagram the other day. Actually, there's two of them, but that one it's like a bright green jersey with black shoulders, and it's so gaudy, but it's awesome.
Wow. I mean, there's a pre-baked idea for you right there because the colors are the same, right? That'd be kinda
I
neat.
think I posted on Instagram saying, "You know what? The Stars made a jersey specifically for me because it's like, oh, we know we have the Stars fan in Saskatchewan. We need to like show him that we love him. So, how about we make the green the same color as his lacrosse team there?"
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I actually my university that I go to, University of Saskatchewan, their they wear green, black, and stuff, but their green jersey is literally the Stars' current home and away or home jersey, just in a lighter shade of green. It's the exact same layout, and they even have round shoulder patches with the University of Saskatchewan Huskies on it. It's like there's so much like Stars connection up here for some reason, and it's awesome.
Let me ask you an off the wall question about their jersey design, and then I think we should move on to
Yes,
uh,
sure.
so do you have, like, the picture of the Stars jersey up or at least in your mind well enough to know what, like, the current D star is looking like? Um,
Oh yeah.
because I kinda have this off the wall idea that maybe, like, the D is actually the bottom of a heel of a cowboy boot, and then the star around it is actually, like, spurs from a cowboy boot. And so it's like it's a top-down view of, like, a foot leaving a footprint and, like, what the spurs might just as it keeps walking.
Oh, you went really into the
I
conspiracy
do.
theory there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
No, I can see
really
it. I can see it. It's actually a pretty interesting idea there. Yeah, I like that.
I like to, look at a jersey so long and then do, like, that puzzle, like, the 3D eye puzzle with it, like, see if I start seeing weird things, if I start looking at the negative space or something.
Oh. Yeah,
Um,
no, that's awesome. Like, no, I've never even noticed that. I guess it
well,
does. I'm
it's
sure they didn't
weird.
mean
I
it, but
no,
yeah.
I don't think so either, but it's something to give them new talking points. I like what I was doing too when you gave that, like, theory on how the new blackout is really just like a shelved design from a ditch stadium series. I was trying to figure out where that football game Super Bowl happened where they had the blackout. 'Cause if it was at the AT&T Center, I would have been like, "Oh
No,
goodness."
that was in
But
Atlanta,
no, that was
I
in Atlanta.
believe.
Well,
Or no, New Orleans.
it was in
That was
New
New Orleans.
Orleans. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
with Atlanta, but yeah.
Yeah.
Um, all right, cool. Or no, it was with the Ravens, sorry, and the 49ers, excuse me. Sorry, I can't riddle
Oh,
off
yeah.
that stuff like I can hockey. Anyway, all right, that's my conspiracy theory design question for you.
I
So
like it.
let me give you some good trivia questions. And
Alright.
for those that have not listened to our trivia before, it's always designed around the guest's fandom, and it's typically jersey related in some fashion. And knowing that you're a huge Stars fan and also a Madonna fan, I tried to make it as much around that as I could. And it's also just three questions. And all you need to do is get 2 out of 3 right, and you win a prize. And our prize is usually, you know what? For you, it will definitely be OxyClean, because that way I'll enable your first
Damn it,
OxyClean
I
bath,
was
and we
hoping
can.
the 2000 or 2020 Stanley Cup patch. Damn.
Oh, well, hey, man. Maybe if you get all 3 right, I don't know. I make up
Oh,
the
okay.
rules literally as this goes. So whatever you want. I just wanted to try to get you in your first baptism and convert you. That's what I call the
Well,
OxyClean
I have
bath.
a white Heiskanen MIC coming in the mail right now, which I'm super excited about. And
You
that
know,
one is and that
it
one's gonna be I'm getting the Stanley Cup patch for that.
Oh, nice. See, that's what I forgot you are the patch slut. So, and
Oh,
up to
yeah.
this point, I do basically give people that 2 options. So, I think you've just set the new rule that basically the person can choose between a patch and Oxy or whatever,
Oh,
okay?
yeah. That works.
So 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 basically, Mike Modano was an amazing US hockey player, okay?
Yep.
And he is at the top of the stats for
What
everything significant, essentially, okay? And
Mhm.
so, of these main categories, goals, assists, points, shorthanded goals, and game-winning goals, is he number 1 in any of those categories? Yes
Is
or
he
no?
is he number 1 in any of the categories that you listed? Yes, he is.
Okay.
True,
That
he is.
he is not.
Really? I thought he was for goals by American-born play Oh, no, Hall. No. Now I'm really confused there because I thought he was the highest scorer. Oh, that's in points.
He's actually 2nd in points as well. Are you Googling this stuff
Yes,
too?
I am too.
Because I wanna know where I got this, because you're making me nervous. Top
Because there
US.
was such a huge deal about him gaining the NHL scoring title, and this was after Hall had retired.
I wonder if it's controversial because they consider Brett Hull Canadian,
Oh, he definitely isn't.
because, like, he plays for Team USA, but he was born in Canada and his dad,
Yeah, well,
or is
it
that
is.
wrong?
It is. Yep. Yeah, United States. It says that Mike Modano had 1,499 games played. Problem with that.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about
And
that.
he's number first for points and 1,374 points.
Then why does my list have him as 2nd? And then I guess is they don't
Maybe it's
have.
just one of those things because it's an American-born player.
Yeah.
That's where it is. What was the question?
It was, of the following categories, Mike Modano is not the number 1 ranked in any of them by a US born player.
So I was right that he does rank number 1 in points for an American-born player because Brett Hull was born in Canada.
Okay, I'm definitely throwing out this fucking question because I think that's the
Got it right. I
well,
don't
but
think.
that's what I don't understand here. I like, because if I do are you like, can you get a
Uh,
link if I send you something, like, on
yeah,
the
sure.
Discord?
Share it on the Discord. Yeah.
Um,
American
American
NHL.
NHL players all-time stats, and that's by Quant
Oh,
Hockey.
but that's the key word right there. American. Brett Hall sees himself as American first, but he wasn't born as an American. And your question said American born.
Oh, you're fucking right. I screwed it up.
You gave me the wrong question.
I totally base my question off of semantics of American versus US born, and you're
Yeah.
totally right.
Yeah.
'cause I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, "He's gotta be number 1." And that's why I thought you were gonna get it wrong, 'cause I was like, "Modano's number 1." And then I looked it up and I was like, "What? Brett Hall? Okay, fuck. This is kind of annoying." Um,
Great,
alright.
off to a great start for the quiz.
Just flying start. Yeah. Oh
Oh,
my
I have to, I
god.
have to, I have to pull the appeal out of that one. It's like, no, no, no. You said Bourne, which he is. Mike
Yeah,
Modano is
no,
leading. Did lead in the points for Bourne player. Yeah.
I'm just
Oh
gonna
man. Even Phil Housley ended with 5 games shy of 1,500.
okay,
Poor
so
guy.
let's talk about 1,500 because you have an amazing story about 1,500. Because basically I look up Mike Modano and his stats are 1,499 games played, and I'm like, "What?" Like, please let that be, like, because it was just the way the season ended, and then I'm like, "Oh, no, wait, Babcock oh,
Oh
yeah, he played
yeah.
in Detroit. Oh, wait, he scratched him from his 1,500th? What the F?" And
Yeah, this is definitely a point of contention.
And if only I could run into Mike Babcock one day and ask him what he was thinking, I would love the opportunity. Do you know anyone who's had that opportunity?
Yeah, me. Um, so earlier I was talking about all these great people from Saskatchewan. We also have people I don't care that they're from Saskatchewan. I really wish they weren't. Um, and that's Mike Babcock. He is from Saskatchewan, which I hate to say. And he actually had a cabin up at the lake I go to. And one day I was so pissed off. Like this was after Modano had retired and stuff. And I walked in and there was Mike Babcock in his all his Detroit Red Wings gear buying, I can't remember what he was buying. I think it was milk or something like that. And so I walked up to him and say, "Hey, you're Mike Babcock." He's like, "Yeah, I am." And I'm like, "Why did you not let Mike Modano play that last game? Like, really?" And he just kind of looked at me and then walked away. And I was like a 17, 18-year-old when this happened. I was just like so pissed at him. I'm like, he didn't even acknowledge it, right? Basically. And so I hate him. Yeah, I hate him. And I laughed when Toronto got him, and I'm like, no, no, you're gonna regret that decision. And then and when also on top of that, he got in, or Mike Modano got injured that season because there was a vicious slash on his hand that he broke
It's
actually during the 99 Stanley Cup, but he had problems with it ever since. He broke his wrist during the 99 Cup Stanley or Cup
I
run
did
and
not know
played it
that.
through and won it. Yeah, he was playing with a broken wrist at that time, and he actually had problems with it for the rest of his career. So he suffered from winning the Stanley Cup. But RJ Umberger slashed him. He was playing for Columbus at the time, slashed him in one of the earlier games in the season and took him out of the lineup, which Modano had to go get surgery for, which he would have hit the 1,500 mark, no problem, right? If he played most of the season. But so A, I hated RJ Umberger, and two, I hated Mike Babcock. Mike Babcock scratched him for the very last game of the season, and I listened to a podcast with him, and I think Spin and Chicklets, and he opened
Who
up
are
about
they?
it.
Are they a hockey podcast or something?
Oh yeah, sorry. But I did listen to them, and Mike actually kind of opened up and said, yeah, he was not happy about it. He was pissed, and so that was an interesting to hear because ever since he's just kind of kept it quiet. And he's not a guy who's kind of made comments about that. But he said the older he gets and the more he sees that his stats pop up and it's 1,499,
Oh,
it kind of still bugs him and stuff. And yeah, but I was actually able to buy so RJ Umberger ended his career on a tryout with the Dallas Stars,
uh-huh.
and he didn't make it. He played 2 exhibition games and the team let him go. So I was able to get his very last game worn jersey he ever wore in the preseason. Yeah, I stripped it.
Pretty cool.
I stripped it. I'm
Oh,
not.
did that feel good?
Oh, it felt so good. It's like You stopped Mike from getting 1,500? Yeah, you. No, I felt bad because afterwards I found out that he was a huge Mike Modano fan and he apologized like to
Okay.
the cameras like a ton after the thing and he didn't mean it, but he still did it. So yeah, still kind of felt bad. But
Oh, man. It's I mean, it is kind of poetic, though, that, like, you put it that way. You prevented him from getting one more game. I'm gonna take your last game jersey and pretend it never existed, you know?
exactly.
It's
Exactly.
kinda awesome, actually.
A little bittersweet revenge.
Alright. We're
Okay,
gonna
next
mo
question.
we're no, n we're gonna
Oh,
start this thing over. I found a new question. We're just gonna start from
darn!
the
You're
top.
not going to give me credit for actually proving you're wrong.
I'm gonna have to for sure. I'm just gonna make this like a fairer freaking trivia because
Deal. Okay.
um, so, we're gonna start it off with a true false question here. And your question is Mike Modano had his number retired by the Dallas Stars, but he did not have his number retired by the Raiders. True or false?
False.
That's correct. He did have
Mhm.
his number retired by the Raiders.
Every time I go to a Raider game, there's number 9 hanging from the rafters. He even just wrote a letter to himself, to his younger self that came out 2 days ago, I think, or a couple days ago. And he says, made a lot of Dallas fans kind of laugh at this. He says, like, seeing your number hang from the rafters in PA and not Dallas. He'd never said Dallas in his letter, so that was kind of funny to see. And a lot of fans were kind of getting mad over it. But PA meant a lot to him, and I'm sure Dallas meant a lot to him too. But PA did too, a lot more probably. Enough that his billet family ended up going to his Hall of Fame induction because
That's really cool.
they were just so close to them. So yeah, no, that's false. He did get his number retired, and he is actually. I was so excited for this summer because it's the Raiders' 50th anniversary this year.
Oh, cool.
Uh, so they were planning all these summer festivities to celebrate the 50th anniversary, and Mike Modano was supposed to be coming to celebrate. And he was supposed to be signing autographs, and there was things. I was like, I saw him at the Winter Classic. I'm excited to see him in
Oh, for sure.
PA.
COVID?
COVID.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
sucks.
yeah. So, so many things got ruined there. But yeah, so actually, I'm currently looking at a old jersey that he used to wear, like that style, and for the Raiders, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna see if I can get that.
Yeah,
Get a Nano Raider one.
that would be pretty dope. I
That
always
would
like
be
those, like, earlier throwbacks or callbacks to, like, someone's junior team or something, like, a
oh, yeah.
lot, actually.
Well,
I
actually,
love Madonna too because 'cause I'm looking at the same picture as you probably, and, like, dude's got on the green Cooper helmet that I used to wear. I wore or I played with Madonna's curve, like, my whole career when he was
oh.
with Easton too, so, like, I freaking loved Madonna for his whole
Are
career. It was
you
awesome.
seeing him in a Raider jersey?
Yeah, I am.
Oh,
Yeah.
and the
It's
funny thing is, does that jersey look familiar?
no, actually, not
It kinda looks like a Minnesota North Star jersey.
like the N a little bit with, like, how that stick is angled and stuff.
No, no, look at the design of the jersey. It's
Oh, like the
black,
colors and stuff,
the
yeah.
colors, and even the striping.
Yeah, you're right with that black strap from the original ones, yeah.
Mhm. It's kinda funny how he just went from one one jersey to another, and all that basically changed was the crest.
Right? That's what makes it so weird to see him in any, like, Detroit Red Wings garb.
Oh, he
He
never played for Detroit.
Oh, right, that's
He never
right.
played for Detroit. I'm in denial on that.
Yeah, Sundin finished his career with the Leafs. I
Oh,
remember
yeah,
that
totally.
too.
Yeah.
Alright, moving on, your next question is a multiple choice question, and it is around Mike Modano's famous acting career. Okay. And it is, which of the following movies did Mike Modano make his acting debut? Was it The Mighty Ducks, Slapshot 2, Mystery Alaska, or Goon 2?
Oh, okay. So Mighty Ducks, Slapshot 2,
Mystery Alaska or Goon 2? Which
Mighty
of the
Ducks.
following? Yes,
Mighty Ducks.
correct.
That cringe-worthy
Oh god.
performance. Oh,
Back
it
when,
was
like, all actors got credited as themselves in movies, and yep, they definitely were. Oh my god.
oh man. I remember watching that and it's like so this guy is like, I don't know, maybe 22, 23, and he's like asked to be in a Disney movie. He just says the most terrible line. He should have been able to say his own lines probably. Let him ad lib. Just go.
I
Better
know,
than
I
what
bet,
Disney
like, his
writers probably did.
agent was like, "This'll be great for your career," and then they noticed his acting sucked, and it's like, "Well, if we cut it completely, then you can't be in the movie at all, so I guess we have to keep it in." Crap. Okay. Oh, man. What a series, though. Oh, freaking those are the days. Okay,
Oh,
so
Mighty Ducks.
you're
So
2
good.
for 2. You're doing great, man. You're already in the green. You got something coming to you. Real happy about that. Here's your last question. It's Madonna and Stars related. I think you'll appreciate this one. It's pretty recent too. So, this Dallas Stars player scored his 59th playoff goal on September 25th, 2020 to pass Mike Modano for second place all time on the NHL playoff goal list among US born players. Then a
Joe
period.
Pavelski.
Yeah. Yes, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Ding, ding, ding. Yeah. I either don't read fast enough or you're just too smart and your brain works too quick.
No, actually, you had me going there until you said US born. I'm like, I thought you were saying like he passed Mike Modano for franchise goals. I'm like,
Ah, yeah.
could that have been Ben? Because I remember Ben was getting pretty close to Modano's playoff goals.
I was
Um,
actually wondering about that looking this question up. I didn't have enough time, but I was starting to think like, does Madonna still have the franchise record for most playoff goals with Dallas?
I think he does, but Ben is getting really close,
And
especially
he's
after this
Canadian
long
born.
run. He is Canadian born. He's from Victoria. And actually, fun fact about Jamie Benn: the reason why he was drafted so low was because it took him a lot longer to commit to hockey because he was thinking about playing baseball instead and get drafted by the MLB. And
Mm,
he decided, no, I'm gonna follow my brother's footsteps and play hockey. And he got drafted so late because they didn't know if he was actually going to continue with hockey or not. So that's that's why he got drafted so late. But that's why he's such a good player now. He had that
well,
dual sports experience and drive.
makes a lot of sense. But just to put it in perspective, uh, Jamie Benn has only played as many playoff games in his career as Mike Modano had goals.
Oh wow.
So Jamie Benn's played 59 career playoff games, all with Dallas, and he has 19 goals.
Okay,
Whereas
then I was really wrong.
59 playoff goals is with Modano. I don't know how many of those are with Dallas. I assume all of them. I don't know if he ever scored any for
He
Detroit though.
he didn't play during the playoffs with Detroit.
Okay.
Oh, he did. He played 2 games with Detroit in the playoffs and didn't score anything. He was mostly a scratch the whole time.
There's no way this is the record for most goals by anyone for the playoffs by one franchise. I mean, that's anyone on the Islanders or Edmonton probably would pass that, but or maybe even Chicago, but I bet you that's the most goals by a US born player for one franchise in the playoffs.
Probably. If we keep breaking down each record, I'm sure like Modano would be at the top of something.
That's
Like
true.
if you add enough words to it, I'm sure
He
it'll happen.
scored the most goals on dates that ended on an 8 when it was played in Dallas. Yeah, or something.
Exactly. Just something just like that, right? I kind of laugh every time I listen to like these records. It's like, oh my god, this guy got the record for most goals by a player that was not with the team at the start of the season.
The ones I get the most pissed about now are the ones where it's like, over the last 15 years, the 2 clubs' head-to-head record is 15, 11, and 2. So it's a pretty close match. I'm like, dude, these clubs like completely shake over their entire lineups in 5 years, basically. Like, there's no point going
Yeah.
that far back. They're completely different teams at that point, you know?
Yeah. Well, then again, every time the Stars play the Blues, if they lose, well, they either lose or if they beat the Blues, they end up winning the Stanley or going to the Stanley Cup. This year
Oh,
they didn't play the Blues, so they didn't have to deal with that. But like that's
yeah.
happened all the time in the '90s. That happened back in the Minnesota days too. Whenever the Minnesota would play the Blues, and they would either lose or they'd win and go to the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, that's kinda like the Islanders to get to the cup, they had to go through the Rangers, like, at almost every time, I
Oh,
think.
exactly.
So, anyway, that's
That's why I do
definitely in
not
the
like the
weeds.
Blues.
Hey, man, well, this has been great, you rocked it on trivia like I was, shocked about, of course. Before we sign off, I just was curious, is there any, like, grail that you're going after right now that if you told the community we might be able to help you try to track down, or do you want to talk about maybe what's in your watch list right now perhaps or anything like
Sure.
that?
So my watch list, or so my grail right now is a inaugural authentic Stars jersey, a white one.
Oh yeah,
You need a 52 to a 56. So if
and that
anyone
would
has one, it's
complete
willing to let go. That would
that.
complete my authentic collection
Ooh, that's
all across.
pretty, that would be a big check. Yeah.
Uh-huh. But I actually had checked off a lot of grails that I've had, like a 99 Cup jersey, got one. Authentic Mooterist, got one. MIC Winter Classic, got it. So like there's quite a few that I've been able to check off, which I'm very happy with. But for my watch list, I have 159 watching right now. Um, and a lot of it is like a Connor McDavid authentic Erie Otters jersey.
Oh, okay,
So
nice.
something like that, an Ottawa Senators jersey. So a lot of teams I also cheer for and collect. Um,
Hmm.
oh, I can actually get rid of this one, Gordie Howe jersey, because I have
Got
one in the mail.
one.
Finally,
Nice.
as a guy who loves Gordie Howe as much, I have not had a single Gordie Howe jersey.
Yeah, it's weird how that sometimes happens though, because maybe the player that you really, really, really want, you might be saving for like the
Uh,
super duper duper. And so it's
well,
like,
actually, the whole reason is because I wanted to get a Hartford one, but I never got around to doing it. But I kind of didn't want to get a Red Wing one. And so I was kind of thinking about it. I was like, okay, yeah, I could get a Red Wing one. But then you have to get the right Red Wing one, not one with like the ribbed collar, like
yep,
the one that looks like a sweater. That's the one he would have worn. So I finally found one for actually
the
fairly
Woolly
cheap. So
Boys.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
baby.
yeah. So basically that's kind of in my watch list is just a lot of jerseys, some Raiders, some Blades, some minor teams, a lot of minor teams because a lot of NHL jerseys I already have. So I've been kind of trying to collect more. Like if I'm missing a jersey in the other teams I cheer for, I have that watched. But I also have then like the Texas Stars, the Manitoba Moose, the Bakersfield Condors, and then the Saskatoon Blades, the PA Raiders. Yeah, so those are those things I'm trying to watch and
What
maybe
about
pick up one day.
like his like all of the AHL affiliates of the Dallas Stars over the years?
So I would need the Rochester Americans, which because they were actually their affiliate one year. Um, but they actually shared it with Buffalo.
So
Irony.
is that like a thing that you would consider part of like, collecting the
No,
run?
I don't know. I don't know. Like right now, I'm just
Not
focusing on
yet.
Texas right now. I was able to get a really cheap about a year ago. I got a cheap or Iowa Stars jersey. So they were I it was the
Vikings
Iowa.
I've heard of, but
Yeah, so
interesting.
they moved for they suspended operation. The Stars used Rochester for 1 year, and then the Texas Stars became a thing. So, but now
Gotcha.
Iowa now does the Wild. So, um,
Do you have like a Saskatoon Blades jersey?
oh yeah, actually, I know we're running over time, but the coolest thing happened. I bought. So I go to Blades games as often as possible, and my cousin, as of until this year, who he decided to step away, he was the assistant coach of the Blades here, and so actually last year or the year before, the Raiders and the Blades were playing in the playoffs, and I cheered for the Raiders against my
Hmm.
cousin. And his little daughter came up to me while I'm wearing a Raider jersey, just looking up at me and says, "Why aren't you cheering for my daddy?" I'm like, "Oh
Oh
God."
god.
Oh, I know. And I told myself, and then the Raiders won the championship that year, so that was awesome. And then this year, I said, I'm going to cheer for the Blades the whole way through. And then COVID happened. So, but I went to one of the games earlier this year, and there was a jersey off your back raffle where you buy some raffle tickets, you get pulled, you go down to the ice, the player takes the jersey off the back and gives it to you, and
Cool.
yeah, so cool stuff.
Oh yeah.
Um, I never win anything. I never win anything. So I bought some tickets. I was like, whatever. Not, I probably won't win, but whatever. The money goes to a good cause. And then they called the number, and I'm looking through it, and my girlfriend and I were looking through it, and I'm like, the last ticket, what? I think I got it. So it was so I got this like the bright yellow one. If I don't know if you know what the Blaze jerseys look like, but it's a bright yellow one. Um, and it's their third jersey or was their third jersey. And I was able to get it. And I picked a guy who was, I thought, small enough that I could wear his jersey normally without equipment on. And I picked number 9, and yeah, so
Nice.
that was awesome. I never won it. And then I bought 2 team issued ones when the CHL went away from the Edge system and went to CCM Quick Light. So they were selling off their authentic jerseys. So I was able to get a white and a dark one of that. So, and then old gamers. Yeah, I have definitely a few
Jeez.
Blaze jerseys. Raiders, not so much because I live an hour away from Prince Albert. I need to actually be there to be able to, but I got like old ones that look really great. Some ultra fill, like early 2000 ones. They're awesome.
So you're about to go over the 150 mark as soon as your like 12 packages of Christmas situation is over?
Some of them has definitely come in. Whatever's coming tomorrow or Monday will be the 150th. So
So,
yeah.
behind me right now, no one can see this, is actually the box that has my 2 grails in it. So, I'm really excited. My
Oh.
mail day came in today. I got and this is gonna get me to the next level. I already know it. I already have 2
Uh-oh.
others in my watch list, but these are my first CCM Authentics as well. So,
Oh,
I'm
CCM
going
Authentics are so nice.
yeah, I'm about to go from, like, the CCM rep level to the CCM Authentic level, and, they're the '92 All-Star Game Turn Back the Clock jerseys, both in my
Oh,
size, both brand new with tags, one the white, one the red.
that means your next step is throw back the clock, authentic
You got it.
original 6.
You nailed it. That's where I'm going
I
next.
hope you take out a second mortgage on your house there.
This is what's preventing me from owning a house, I think, in the first place. So my priorities are so whack, but
Yeah,
it's
you know what?
funny
If it makes
because I was gonna say the quality now I know is gonna, like, ruin me, and what that just means, though, is that I hope I can purge the rep line of my collection because I can't deal with getting rid of the woolly boys, those are my favorites, but, um, maybe this way, like, other people I live with that look at everything that I get will be like, "Wait, a couple weeks ago, it seemed like you had a lot more jerseys." I'll be like, "Yep, definitely spent more money over the time, but it looks like I have less jerseys, but yep, definitely moving in the right direction, honey, for sure." Yep.
Yeah, when I replace a jersey with authentic, especially when it comes to the Indos, or I've been able to sell them pretty quickly, either through eBay, but actually the best ones, like if it's a Canadian team, I've been able to sell them locally pretty well,
Mhm.
and which is nice. But even I put some Modano ones up that I ended up getting authentics for, and they sold really quickly. So from another Stars fan in Prince Albert, so it's there's definitely still a market for that. So no, I agree with you. Welcome to the authentic
Oh,
CCM,
man, I'm
especially there's a difference between CCM in the 2000s and CCM in the 90s. There is a
yeah,
difference.
yeah.
They are so nice.
I am so freaking excited to have talked to you, but at this point also, like, get into that box, man, and,
Well, I will
like,
not keep you any longer. I'll let
hey,
you tear
man,
into that
I
package.
really just wanna say thanks so much for coming on. Like everyone I say, like, "Oh, you'll just get a little taste, just 45 minutes," and then zoom, here we are, like, 2 hours later, like, no
Whoops.
big deal.
No one will
Um
finish this one.
the power of editing, but, I'll leave my mistakes in there because we got to let people know you know more than the trivia guy. But
Oh,
before we, sign off, man, I like to give everyone that comes on the show an opportunity to tell us where we can follow you or find you on social media or whatever you do in your life to gain your following however you want. So, dude, thanks
so
so much for coming on and let us know where we can keep following you.
yeah, well, thanks for having me on. Also, so for jerseys, it's Sask Stars fan on Instagram, Reddit, Discord. Shoot me a message. Always willing to talk jerseys. Give me a follow on there. And because I'm on here and I always have to be working, uh, check out if you like country music. Check out Lane Shields Music on Instagram or Lane Shields on Spotify, Apple or iTunes, Google Play, YouTube Music, anywhere you want to check out. If you like country music, check it out. I'd love to hear your feedback on it. And yeah,
Sweet. Thanks so much, Lane and Sask Stars fan. And man, it was a great chat. And I can't wait to continue it just online. And big shout out to all of the other Hockey Jersey Addict listeners out there. Been really, really impressed with the feedback I've been getting from you people. It's really helped turn this into something that I'm just happy to be giving back to the community that's given me so much and helped me fuel my addiction. So if there's any other feedback you want to pass along, you can find me on the Discord channels and our hockey jerseys and such as Van Can Fan 75, or you can just hit up Hockey Jersey Addicts on social media or at gmail.com. So thanks everyone for listening, and we'll catch you next time.